This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everybody, to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have a great neighbor on with us, and that is Vimo from Nawabs Indian Cuisine. How are you today?
Hi, Sean. Very nice to meet you. I'm good. And how are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. I had the pleasure of meeting you for the first time at the Barry After 5 networking event,
Yes.
and found out that you were a new business in town and in everything Indian food rocks. I'm a big foodie myself, so really excited to talk about all things Indian food today.
Thank you so much. And I'm very excited to introduce some South Indian flavors like chibari.
Very cool. Okay, so let's dive into it. And why don't you explain to our listeners a little bit more about your business?
So we are Nawabs Indian Cuisine, and we are bringing authentic Hyderabadi food to Barrie, Ontario. And it's a fine dining restaurant, and we offer South Indian food, North Indian food, Indo-Chinese cuisines, along with customized like lunch boxes, which we wanted to deliver throughout the Simcoe County. And also, we are doing like unlimited breakfast options in the restaurant, and it includes like alcohol too. And we also have an event space together along with the restaurant. And the event space, we are collaborated with like decor team and who does cakes and photography. It's a one-stop place, and it has everything. So that's the main concept of our restaurant.
Wonderful. And let me ask you a little bit more about the event space that's there. What type of businesses can come there and use the space?
So anyone who wants to have a gathering or a birthday party or any corporate events, we have made an arrangement to keep it private, and anyone can use it, and we can help you with arrangements. Like if you wanted like a projector or anything else that's required for a corporate event, we can make an arrangement. If you wanted to do a like micro wedding, or if you wanted to do a birthday party or a gathering, then we can help you with that. So because we have a team and we are collaborated with like different types of event planners, we can help with anything, and it's a pretty decent size, and a capacity of 60 people.
Okay.
And yeah, just for the restaurant, like just for the event space, but the restaurant is another 50 space. And like we can keep it like more private and more customized. If you have any specific requirements, we can have a chef do everything that's required for the event.
Very cool. Did you mention you had breakfast options?
Yeah, we have breakfast options. So for the breakfast options are like more like Indian, and we are trying to add some fusion, but not yet. But most of the breakfast options are like very healthy options, and they're not spicy, and they're like multi-grain and done with millets and like steamed food, which everyone can try. And they are like good options that I recommend everyone trying.
Okay, so let's dive into this because I've never had breakfast in the Indian culture. So, can you explain to me a little bit more into detail, like what are we offering? What are the delicious food that we get to try here?
So the breakfast options we have are most of the breakfast options are like for us like more authentic are like dosha, idli, puri, and roti. Roti is more like a flatbread,
Okay.
which is made with like wheat or any flour, and then the dosha and idlis they are made from millets and the rice. So they are like multi-grain. Like we have many options. We can customize it with any different kind of millet, which has more protein, more fiber, and they're not spicy, and they're more like steamed food. And the doshas are more like crepes, but it's done with like more millets and more protein diet. And we usually eat with like peanut sauce, and it's not spicy too. So those are like really wonderful options you have, and I recommend trying.
You had me at peanut sauce. That stuff is good.
Yeah. And also mint sauce. You can add like mint sauce too, depending on your preference.
So fine dining, that's amazing. We've got a couple of nice fine dining places here in Barrie, but we don't have a whole lot. So nice to know that there's an alternative, especially for Indian cuisine. I think that's pretty interesting. What kind of feedback have you been getting from people?
Yeah. So we haven't opened yet. We are planning to open in June.
Okay.
So we wanted everyone to know that we are offering all these services, and we are pretty excited to open in June.
Very exciting. Sorry, I was under the impression that you guys were already open. So now we can get the message out. Hopefully, you got to let me know when the grand opening is. I got to be there.
So we do have other locations. So it's a franchise,
Okay.
and there are like 10 to 12 locations in GTA, and they've been good, and they're very busy places. And we just recently got the franchise for Barry, and the franchise owner, they're very supportive and they're very encouraging, and they made us like they're very flexible, so that we can add fusion food as per the Barry preferences. So that's an exciting part, that they're very flexible and very supportive for us.
Very cool. So we get to tailor it to our special town here. That's
Yes.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so people in life, they have different journeys to get to where they are. And I get to ask this question with every guest. And it's a very fascinating question for me because everybody's a little bit different. Some people, it's very straight and narrow. Other people, I say it's like the Mazda commercial, or they're just zooming all over the left and right and up and down. And so I'm curious to ask you, what has your journey been like, and to getting into doing what you're doing today?
Mm. So it's completely different line, I would say.
Yeah.
So my main background is like I'm registered doctor in India, and then I've done like holistic nutrition too. So I have a bit idea about all the diets and everything. And then here I'm working as the clinical operations manager. So I handle most of the clinic businesses and operations, hiring and everything. And then my husband, who is the main, who is like it's his dream that open a restaurant, and he is a Salesforce developer, but he has a bit of experience in the food industry, and he was managing a pizza like as manager. And we both were planning to open a business for a long time, but it's a long and hard process. But then finally, like we decided to work on our passion to open a business, and we both want to support each other, and that's how we started. And Barry is a nice community, and we have been living for 10 years, and we now it's the time that we want to open a restaurant. And then we decided like to start this and
Very
work on it.
cool. Very cool. So he's diving in full time. Are you still doing what you're doing on the side and then coming into the restaurant full time, or are you still going to keep doing what you're doing?
So my husband is going to do full time,
Yeah.
and working from home right now. And then I'll be helping for 3 to 4 days, but mostly I'll be managing all the event space, and he'll be handling the restaurant.
Okay.
So because I'm more passionate into like event planning and everything, and I love meeting new people and planning the events, like customize their events. So I'll be helping most of them, and then he'll be focusing on the restaurant.
Very cool. We do our community spotlight networking event, which you haven't been to yet. So remind me after the show. We'll talk about that. I think we have a little collaboration we can do with you.
Oh, for sure.
I'm assuming your nutrition background would come into play with something like this.
Yes, I'm planning to, because I wanted to keep like healthy options open for everyone, and because I have a health background, I wanted to make sure like I incorporate that knowledge into this food, and then I want to bring like new food. Which are like healthy, which has more fiber, and which is good for like community and everyone. So that's an exciting part. But and
100%. I mean, you've mentioned the word fiber a few times. I think it's one of the most underrated words in the nutrition world for what it
yeah,
actually does to your body and helps slow down the breakage of carbohydrates, which when that happens, it doesn't spike your blood sugar. And so you don't get a crash at the end. Eating for fuel, eating for sustainability. A lot of people just mindlessly eat, but if you do it in the right order, having fiber first, anything green, vegetables, or having your protein, it actually coats the carbohydrates in your body, and
yeah.
it's a slower release, which gives you longer lasting energy and you don't get that mid-afternoon crash.
That's right. Like it's very important to have like protein, but I mean, which everyone thinks that protein is important, but protein, carb, as well as the fiber is most important. And I can give like good suggestions about like what to incorporate and which one is helpful, and which are the foods which have like more fiber and more carb and less carb and more protein.
Very cool. You could tell I'm a passion for eating food. This is a great conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I can talk like forever about it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, me too. We on the weekend, actually yesterday on Sunday, I was marinating two whole chickens. I cut the back off of it and butterflied them, and I did it in a Cuban adobo marinade, and then we cooked them on the indirect heat on the coal barbecue for about 50 minutes. It was absolutely delicious.
That's
So
fun. That
yeah,
sounds
totally. We just so I got a little in my backyard. I'm on a corner lot, so it's not a big backyard. It's just this little tiny kind of quaint little backyard. So I've
yeah.
got a deck with a little bit of grass and some gardens and stuff like that. And I've got a little gazebo just when
Hmm.
you walk off the deck. And it was raining all afternoon. And so what I did was I installed, because I got screens that go inside the gazebo. So I took them out of storage and I put them up, and then we put our chairs in there, and then I brought the coal barbecue inside,
Hmm.
and we just sat in there, and actually we ordered our groceries from in there. We put the music on, and I was sitting out there having a couple cocktails and then just cooking. We dressed up, put toques on, we had blankets going the whole bit. The dogs were out there with us. It was a pretty cool afternoon yesterday.
That sounds really fun, and that's a perfect Sunday for anyone in summers.
100%. And it was so nice earlier in the day. So really looking forward to more of that great weather.
I can't wait.
Okay. So are there any like myths or misconceptions when it comes to Indian cuisine?
The only thing I can think of is most of them think that it's only the spicy food that Indian food has, but there are many, many healthy options and which are like zero spice. Especially for the breakfast items, everything is like zero spice. But we can have like a little bit of spice that is added, but most of the breakfasts are like zero spice and steamed food, and they have like good all the lentils. They use all the millets and lentils, and they're very good healthy options. Like if you can look into it, like there are many options. That's the only misconception I think of.
Yeah. I mean, I could get that where I've ordered Indian cuisine before and they give you the option for how spicy do you want it. And a few times I picked medium or mild, and it was like I can handle
Pretty
heat,
spicy.
and it was really spicy. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. So knowing that, that's good for people to know, I think.
Yeah, it's just the suggestions. Like I think, when you go to a restaurant, I think they need to give like good options, to like based on like your preferences, and that will be a good idea. Like there are many like flatbreads, breakfast items which are just zero spicy, and I think that would be a good recommendation along with some chicken and like grilled chicken.
Nice. Yeah, we'll just make sure to make it nice and clear on the menu, eh?
Mm. Yeah, we'll try to.
Very cool. Okay, so when you're not working on creating this fantastic new fine dining experience for us here in Barrie, uh, and you're on your own personal time, what do you like to do for fun?
Me and my husband, we both love traveling, and we love to travel and like try new restaurants locally as well as in like different cities. So we travel like to like some United States sometimes, but in Toronto, and we love like exploring all the fine dining restaurants. Anything new in the city, we just go in there that weekend and try to taste it.
So you guys are big foodies, eh?
Yeah, I would say.
Where does your passion for food come from?
Mm, I mean, it's not like I want to avoid food, but still like I like to try new food. So it's just the traveling and food, like different foods. So I love different cuisines, and I like to try like Japanese food, Asian food, Canadian food, every food. So it's just I'm bored of like same food. So we just try to go and try different flavors from different parts of the country.
Yeah, I mean that's really the only way to do it is just to go out and try it.
Yeah.
I never used to be as cultured until I got into the automotive industry, and the gentleman I was working for. an Italian fellow. He was pretty versed, big foodie himself, and that was the first time I ever had Indian cuisine was with him, and he did it upright. He knew what to do, and we went in there, and I think he ordered like 7 things. He never orders from the menu, and you just bring a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and so I got to try a whole whack of different items from the menu and stuff. I fell in love right away, and then he kept doing that over and over. Every time we would go out for lunch, it would be, hey, try something new. I never had a choice, but I'm still a big foodie myself. That I think that increased my my passion for food, and the different flavors and just the different cultures and nationalities and how they cook food. Food is a comfort for the soul. It helps bring people together, and I'm happy that we share the same passion. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay, so we'll switch gears a little bit here and move on to a little bit more of a serious topic. Sometimes in life we don't really get to pick and choose what life throws at us, and as a result of that, we have to endure or go through hardships in our life challenges. But what's always fascinated me is the resilience of human beings, or how we're able to adapt and push and then continue to move forward from that. So looking at silver linings, trying to turn a negative into a positive. And so I'm curious to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship or a life challenge where you rose above that, and because of that, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, or maybe you were able to pull some silver linings from that.
Yeah, so when so the major that I had in my life was the 24, like when me and my husband we planned to move to Canada, and then after that, I mean, it was a struggle for a few months because I mean, I had to leave all my family and my close friends. But then after that, like within like few months, like I fell in love with Barrie, and then I loved the community, and then like I had my friends and family like in States, so I started traveling, so it gave me wider options, and then I started loving it here. And it wasn't too big a challenge for me because I love like outdoors and like traveling. But then I think new challenge would be the opening a restaurant.
Yeah, for sure. That must have been a pretty big leap of faith to leave all your friends and family behind and move somewhere completely new.
Yes.
What was it about Barrie that made you fall in love with it?
I mean, like when I came here, like it was a big change because I was born and brought up in like a city, like Toronto, like, and it was like very busy. And then when I moved here, like it was not that busy 10 years before, so it was big change for me with like very less people, and then like it's not too happening at that point. But then I just love because of the nature and the lakes here. Just love it, and I don't want to move anywhere from Barrie. Like it's so good. I think it's good for my kids as well. And the community is the best part, I would say. Like I never had any issue when whoever I meet. Like they've been very welcoming, and they're very nice. So I think that's what I wanted for my kids too. So I decided to stay here. I got the house, and now opening a restaurant.
It's pretty chill up here. We're definitely a slower pace. A lot of people like that. I've mentioned this a few times on the show for the people who are listening and the people who live here. It's something that we guard very close because it's a growing city and it's pretty big, but we still have the small town vibes.
Yeah.
Everybody takes care of everybody here, and it's a pretty special place.
Yes, it has everything now. Now it has everything. So now I don't want to move because it has everything and it still has the same vibe. So I want to keep that here. Like I think
Yeah.
it's just an experience. Who would know only who will stay here.
Totally. I've got my future brother-in-law, so my younger sister's boyfriend, and they've been together for a very long time. I lived in Newmarket for a while, and it wasn't until just recently they made the decision to come a little bit more closer to home.
Mhm.
And they moved about 5 minutes from where I am. I'm northwest of the city, and we were over there on the weekend. We had hot pot, which is phenomenal. And we were just kind of having a beer together. And he was mentioning to me, goes, man, I love it here. It's so quiet. And he lived in a neighborhood in Newmarket where it was just off the busy street. It's still, you would look around, you kind of see some people out there. It's not overly busy, but he says there is a massive difference from that, even the visual appeal. And he still commutes to Brampton. He's only an hour from here, so it's not too bad. We'll just see what the winter's like. But other than that, he's pretty happy. So really happy that you found the love for it. I grew up here. I moved here when I was 7, and then I left in 2015. I moved to Toronto, and so I've lived in the big city. I did 2 years down there. That was good enough for me. And I'm well traveled. I've been in every major city in Canada. You know, the West Coast is beautiful. Same with the East Coast. Every province has its offerings, but we're right here in the gateway to cottage country. We have access to Toronto if we want it. We're right by the water. You've got all the lakes and all the cottage country up to the north. It's a pretty special place.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
It's about the event space and what we are offering, like all the different kind of food, and like we can make customized like different food options if they require for the event. And we do have like collaborations with different kinds of chefs too. So anything that's the one I want to focus on, like because we want everyone to celebrate their events in the event space, because Barrie doesn't have like many. And even though we have, they're expensive, and they don't offer like food, alcohol, or anything that we require for an event, and which makes it very impossible for anyone to have a party. So that's where it came from, and because it has everything, it's just easy space for anyone to celebrate their party.
That's perfect. So parties, corporate events, wide open to anybody. If you need a space. That sounds like a pretty cool spot. I'm excited to talk to you about that after the show. Okay, so lastly, if anybody's interested in wanting to know more, especially about that, what is the best way that they can get a hold of you?
So you can follow us on Instagram, Nawabs Barrie, and we almost update everything over the Instagram. And if not, you can go to our website, nawabs.ca. We have all the information, all the food varieties. And if not, you can contact our business office.
Wonderful. Okay. So nawabs.ca, NAWABS.ca.
Yeah.
And what is your social handle for Instagram?
NAWABS Nawabs Barrie.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Phenomenal conversation, and looking forward to doing this down the line.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thanks for giving the opportunity. It's very nice to meet you guys.
No worries. We're excited to come over and try some of your delicious food come June.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.